Senators, it's been a long couple days, so let me be blunt about where I think we are. I think we all know what happened here. I think we all understand what the president did here. I don't think there's really much question at this point about why the military aid was withheld or why President Zelensky couldn't get in the door of the Oval Office. I don't think there's any confusion about why he wanted Joe Biden investigated or why he was pushing the CrowdStrike conspiracy theory. I don't think there's really much question about that, and I don't think there's any question about what we could expect if and when John Bolton testifies, although the details of which we certainly don't know. I don't think there's really much question about that. But what's extraordinary is, although they can claim that this was a radical mistake or notion of Professor Dershowitz that they seem to be distancing themselves from right now, I guess they're accusing Dershowitz now of some maladministration in his argument of the defense. They're still embracing that idea. Because what they just told you, admittedly in outline of A, B, and C, what they just told you is accept everything the House said, except the president withheld the military aid to coerce Ukraine into helping him cheat in the election, accept that these investigations are a sham, accept that he obstructed all subpoenas and witnesses, accept all of that. Too bad. There's nothing you can do. That's not impeachable. A president of the United States, this is now where we've come to in this moment of our history, a president of the United States can withhold hundreds of millions of dollars in aid that we appropriated, can do so in violation of the law, can do so to coerce an ally in order to help him cheat in an election, and you can't do anything about it except hold up a nomination. That's non-impeachable. They can abuse their power all they want. The president, this president, next president can abuse their power all they want in the furtherance of their re-election as long, here's the limiting principle, as long as they think their re-election is in the national interest. Well, that's quite a constraint. That's where we've come now after 2.5 centuries of our history. I think our founders would be aghast that anyone would make that argument on the floor of the Senate. I think they'd be aghast. You know, having come out of a monarchy, having, literally risked their lives, having taken this great gamble that people could be entrusted to run their own government and choose their own leaders, recognizing that we are not angels, setting up a system that would have ambition counter ambition, that we would so willingly abdicate that responsibility and say that a chief executive now has the full power to coerce our ally, a foreign power, to intervene in our election because they think it's in the national interest that they get reelected. Is that really what we think the founders would have condoned? Or do we think that this is precisely the kind and character of conduct that they provided a remedy for? I think we know the answer to that. They wrote a beautiful Constitution. They understood a lot about human nature. They understood, as we do, that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And they provided a constraint. But it will only be as good and as strong as the men and women of this institution's willingness to uphold it, to not look away from the truth. The truth is staring us in the eyes. We know why they don't want John Bolton to testify. It's not because we don't really know what happened here. They just don't want the American people to hear it in all of its ugly, graphic detail. They don't want the president's national security advisor on live TV or even a non-live deposition to say, I talked with the president and he told me in no uncertain terms, John.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.